It's Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. A lot of people have said that they're not being notified of newer videos. Make sure that you subscribe and make sure you hit the bell notification so that you are alerted when newest videos drop. I'm going to get right into this video today. A lot to talk about. I'm wearing a winter jacket for probably the first time in years. It's going to get down to 34, 36 degrees here in the desert, and it is, sun is falling right now. It is getting extremely cold, and you know, I'm somebody who's used to triple-digit weather. 36 degrees when I lived in Chicago was a warm day. Here, it feels like you're freezing, but we're not at 36 yet or 34, but it is definitely dropping. We've got winds coming in tonight, 50 to 70 miles per hour in the mountains. So this whole weather pattern where people are getting winter storms, tornadoes, and all this, we're even being affected now too with the winds and the cool weather. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that too and why you need to be prepared. Just having extra clothing in cold climates extremely important, extra food, all that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. First article I want to talk about coming from the New York Post. Bronx food pantry empty for first time in 10 years, forcing them to turn away families. First time in 10 years. Where is all the money going, ladies and gentlemen? There's so much money being borrowed and printed. Where is it all going? It is certainly not going to help people in this country who need food, who need help. It's not going to small business. It's not going to the vets. It's not going to the homeless. It's not going to people in need. It's not going to these food pantries. Where is all the money going? Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. We've been hearing more and more about this over the past year, that these food charities were not getting the donations that they once were, that they were running out of food, that the food lines are getting longer and longer. This is going to persist to be a bigger and bigger problem in this country, ladies and gentlemen. And you probably know someone who has been forced to maybe use one of these food pantries. People we know now, people who are still driving nice cars, are going to the food lines for food, for help. This is what's happening in the so-called booming economy in the United States of America. Now, kind of in relationship to this article, I was watching a video, Appalachia's Homestead, love her channel. I think she's one of these people who is actually walking the walk and really talking about reality. She did a video about a week ago, and it was titled, Everyone Will Suffer. I think it's Everyone Will Suffer or Everybody Will Suffer. And I jotted down a few notes. I watched this video a couple days ago, and I just jotted down a few notes of that video and some of the points that she made. And I think everybody, make sure you check out her channel, Appalachia's Homestead, Patera, walking the walk, always making good points, down to earth, calling it the way she sees it. And we need to support channels like this. But she said, you know, if you're on Medicare, Medicaid, social services, welfare, Social Security, disability, VA disability, military retirement, basically any type of subsidy from the government, if you're getting this, what happens? Hey, take it easy. What happens if you don't get it? Or maybe you're getting getting this partially. You're getting a partial payment. How would your life change if you weren't getting that partial payment or that full payment? And what if the money stops? What happens to the stuff when we collapse, she says? We all know we are $34 trillion in debt. We have I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, $97 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Take a look at the US debt clock. If you do, you probably won't sleep tonight. If the money stops, what happens to you? What happens to your life? And, you know, I know there's people out here, she made this point, you know, that raise a couple tomato plants or have 2 or 3 chickens, or they have, you know, 3 silver coins, or they have $100 saved up. They believe that they're going to survive what is coming. Everyone is going to be affected. Everybody is going to feel the pain, ladies and gentlemen. So, check that video out last week from Appalachia's Homestead. Very, very good point. It's going to make you think a little bit, and that's what we have to be doing. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the solutions, but we've got to be thinking about these things, and we've got to be thinking about the solutions. Very few people can survive without a check, Patera said. So she also brings up a point that, people living off the grid, well, can you live off the grid without a check? And vice versa. Maybe you have a lot of money, but if the shelves go empty and you have a lot of money and you can't spend that money anywhere to get any food because all the food is gone, how are you going to survive? So I think, all we can do is the best that we can do. And one thing to do is cover the bases the best that you can. You got to have money put away. You got to have assets put away. You got to have food and water put away. And no matter how well you are prepared, you are going to feel some amount of pain. Some will feel less. Some are going to feel a lot more. But another really good point she made here is, people that are living off the grid just go, well, I'm just going to hunt and fish and I'll survive. She made a great point. Everybody else will be doing the same thing. People will be driving, out to the rural areas probably to hunt, to fish. Do you have a better chance in a rural area? Yes, of course. But people are going to do the same thing. And once all the deer are hunted, all the rabbit are hunted, all the quail are hunted, then what's left? So, it's another great point that, look, I think you should have hunting skills. I think it's a great idea to know how to clean an animal. But I think that this makes another great point that you should have emergency food put away, that you should have canned food put away, you should have water put away. These are the things we have to be doing. Now, if you can hunt and fish and you have the emergency food put away and the canned food put away, I think that raises your odds of survival incredibly. I really do. And I think the more skill sets that you have and hunting and fishing and preparations and skills, all that combined is going to put the odds in your favor. There's no doubt about it. And there is no doubt. Living in a rural area is going to be much safer. It's going to be much more sparse. There is going to be, in my opinion, more food sources out there. But there's going to be competition, without a doubt. So remember that. But some really, really good points. She also brought up that you may have no debt. You got your food, you got your assets, but you still have to pay property taxes. No matter how bad things get, ladies and gentlemen, you're still going to have to pay your taxes. You're still going to have to pay your property taxes. She brought up another good point, medical bills. What if there's an emergency? You got to go to the hospital. No matter how bad times are, nothing is free. If your food runs out, you may need money to go buy it from somebody else. You may need barterable items. You may need silver to go to that farm and go buy yourself some beef or some vegetables or some milk or some chicken. So a very, very good video. Check it out. A couple things that I would say is don't rely on the system, ladies and gentlemen. The system is not going to be there for you. The system has created this mess. The system has created this depression. Don't rely on your church. The church is asleep for the most part. You may belong to a great church. Your church may be preparing. That's one in probably 10,000. Overall, don't be delusional and think that your church is going to come save you. Don't rely on your friends. Most of you know that your friends are asleep. In fact, your friends may become a liability. They're going to be the first ones knocking at your door for help. You're going to be on your own, basically. And the sooner you realize that, and the sooner you begin to prepare for that, and time is running out, the better off you're going to be. So a couple really good points in the video, and it does make you think. And that's what it's all about right now today. As most people are getting complacent, I want to continue to think. A lot of people, will say, well, how much can you talk about? How you talk about this every day. It's repetitive, and give it a break, and it's negative, and it's scary. And you know what? There's no time for a break. There's no time to be scared. There's no time to be complacent. This is the time right now to prepare. This is the time right now to take action. Daily Mail. Deadly storm batters Northeast, leaving 500,000 without power as wind and rain knock down trees and cause flooding. Are you prepared? This is affecting New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, thunderstorms, tornadoes, wind, etc. It's going on and on and on. And there are more storms throughout the country taking place right now, especially in the South. Here's one from the Hedge today. Will the Texas power grid survive the next week's polar vortex? Back in 2021, hundreds of people died. They froze to death. They were not prepared. They didn't think it could happen to them. Or if it did, it wouldn't be that bad or last that long. My good friend Aaron literally said his house was 80 plus degrees because of his wood stove. So he had plenty of food, he had his wood stove, nothing to worry about, but a lot of people didn't. Aaron was prepared, many people were not. I hope more people are prepared this time. But this storm, this Arctic air, it says here, will begin to spread southward across the heart of the country. It's going to be hitting down south. The cold air is spilling over from Canada into the heartland. Again, remember what happened back in 2021. We've got to remember these events that take place so that we prepare for the future ones. Learn from history, ladies and gentlemen. Natural disaster, man-made disaster, we're going to see it all. But even here, the weather it's so chilly right now, and it's really going to get cold tonight. But you think about, and I remember being in Chicago, wind chill factors of 50, 60 below zero. I don't recall our power ever going out for very long. Don't recall ever going, throughout the night without heat. But I can't even imagine being in an environment of 20, 30, 50, 60 below zero for, say, a couple days at a time. You would have to really layer up a lot of clothes. It would be absolutely brutal. I'll tell you, being cold and being hungry would not be fun. Here's another one today from the Hedge. X confirms Bitcoin ETF breach was not of any of its systems. SEC failed to use two-factor authentication on phone. Wow, that's absolutely embarrassing, isn't it? Really unbelievable. Another reminder of just how unprepared we really are and how fragile the system is. And, we think everybody's smarter. We think that the entire financial system is never going to collapse. It's impenetrable. It could just never happen, right? It's invincible. And you look at stuff like this, and you just have to shake your head. But anyways, moving on. Amazon lays off more than 500 employees in its Twitch unit. 500 employees from Twitch, also cutting staffers in its Prime Video and Amazon Studios unit. How will these people now afford their homes? How will they pay their bills? Here's one today from CNBC. Mortgage demand surges at start of new year, even as interest rates rise. So let me ask you this. People cannot afford their car insurance. They can't afford home insurance, but yet we're being told that everybody's running to get a mortgage application to buy an overpriced house. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. From what I'm reading and the condition of the average consumer and the amount of debt that they're racking up, there's no way that these people would ever get approved for a home. A lot of these people. Can people get approved for a home? Yes, there are people that can definitely qualify and get approved for a home. But we are now looking at millions of people that no longer could get approved for a home. Applications are up 6% compared to the previous week, down 16% compared to a year ago. Again, out of the people that are applying for a mortgage, how many will actually get approved? I looked at bankrate.com today, 30-year fixed rate, 7.11%. Wallstreet.com, our hopes of lower mortgage rates freezing up the market further. Buyer strike continues. I think it's even deeper than that. But, you know, CNBC just told us this morning, as I just read to you, that mortgage demand jumps to start the year. Everybody's running to get a mortgage application and buy a house. The same week, back in 2023, as I just said, if we compare it to the same week back in 2023, we are down 16%. We're 48% down from the same week in 2022. We're 56% down in mortgage applications from 2021, and we're down 42% with people applying for mortgage applications from 2019. Refis, it's not even worth talking about. Absolutely destroyed. This is people in the mortgage industry are absolutely done. Refis alone have been an absolutely like kryptonite to the mortgage industry. It's absolutely destroyed the mortgage industry, and now nobody's buying homes. I was just talking to a neighbor over here a couple days ago who just got into town, and you know, sales in my area in the Coachella Valley are down 35%. So I don't know how, if you're in the real estate industry, if you're in the mortgage industry, how in the world you're surviving. I hope you saved a lot of money, because it is going to be a very, very bumpy ride for many, many years to come. People might be waiting for rates to come down. I'm sure there are people that are waiting for that. My neighbor over here told me that, you know, his daughter's agent said, hey, just buy, and then you can refi when rates come down. And I asked him, well, what's the guarantee that rates are going to come down? What if they don't come down? We were just told last month that we were going to get 6 to 7 rate cuts, but now we're hearing 2 to 3, and I'm hearing more and more that we may not get any rate cuts. So who knows what's going on? But you have real estate agents out there basically bamboozling people, telling them to buy a house now, and when rates go down next year or later this year, you can refi. Well, that's wonderful if it happens, and maybe you're right, but maybe you're wrong. What if it doesn't happen? What happens to your client then? Be really, really careful with the people you listen to, ladies and gentlemen. I would really do some really extreme due diligence with the people you follow, the people you listen, the people you're doing business with, the people you're taking financial advice from. Do some due diligence and check out their track record. Anybody telling you to buy a house right now because rates are going to go down and you can refi, that's be very, very, very cautious, because there is no guarantee that that is going to happen. And you've got to have equity in your home. What if you have no equity in your home? Remember, I mean, you've got to add on 8-9% for closing costs on a home too. And so, look, be very, very, very careful out there. Most people bought a house last year have absolutely no equity in their home right now. So these real estate agents better be really, really careful with the financial advice that they're giving. You know, I mean, there's people out here, you know, that give all this advice, and yet they have some of the worst track records you could even think of. You know, if you're gonna be a financial advisor, you know, are you licensed to do these things? And a lot of these people, you know, come out here. Look, I don't give financial advice. I share with all of you what I'm doing, what my plan is, what my goals are, and you know, you all can do whatever you want to do. I think some of the advice that I give about like owning assets like gold and silver, I will always give that advice, because it will never be worth zero. But a lot of advice that's given out here can be worth zero overnight. Now, getting back to this whole housing thing here, I don't think mortgage rates are going to come down a whole lot. I think that if they do, I think you're probably going to be looking at the range of between 6 and 7%. But there's also a good chance that you could see mortgage rates actually go up, and we could go back up to 8+%. So you can't rule any of this out. Nobody has a crystal ball, but I would say personally, this might be a wide spectrum here, but for 2024, 6 to 9% on a 30-year. That's where it's going to float. Property insurance rates keep climbing, worsening affordability crisis. How in the world are people keeping up with these bills? The cost of home and auto insurance are set to surge even further, according to this article on Fox Business. And they're blaming it on natural disasters, inflation, regulatory, and reinsurance issues are all contributing to higher rates. Let me ask you this. Is it that, or is it something even worse, such as maybe they're just gouging their clients? Supply chain issues and labor shortages are driving up cost of home repairs and replacement costs. Comment down below. Could it be something like just gouging people? I mean, I don't know. It just seems like, I think my auto insurance has gone up about 10 to 15%. Other people I know, it's gone up much higher. Home insurance is skyrocketing. Utility bills have just skyrocketed this year, or 2023. And I would imagine that they're going to skyrocket and continue to skyrocket in 2024. But, you know, just like the corporatocracy and corporates gouging people at the store with food prices and whatnot, yes, there is inflation. But how much of this is being added on top of the inflation? We're just being gouged. Staggering 19.6% of U.S. office space is unoccupied, emptier than any point in the last 40 years. This on the Daily Mail today. U.S. cities, from what I see when I'm in Los Angeles, and it's been a while since I've been there, graffiti, rats, homeless people everywhere, tents, empty buildings, crime, garbage, potholes, etc. The entire infrastructure is absolutely collapsing in most cities. And it's really, really sad. Again, where is all the money going? It seems like we have money to send all over the world. We have money for politicians. But why are we not seeing this money invested where it should be invested, right here in the United States of America? Why is it not being invested into Americans, into American cities, into American schools, into American infrastructure, into American small businesses? I don't know. What is going on here? What is going on? So again, just a few articles today that I wanted to share with all of you. Feel free, please comment down below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It is just shocking from day to day what we're watching take place. In fact, you know, I talked about yesterday about that video that was floating around, and I watched it on some news stations last night where that homeless gentleman was sleeping on the subway under that big blanket, and there was literally 100 rats sleeping under the blanket with him. And somebody picked up the blanket and the rats went running all over the place. And I just cannot get that image out of my head. I've been thinking about it today, and I just think it's just a tragedy when the so-called greatest nation on planet Earth, the so-called wealthiest nation, which obviously we're not, but how can something like this be happening right here in America? You know, growing up in America as a kid, I could never even imagine talking about the things I'm talking about every day with you. 100 rats sleeping under a blanket with somebody who more than likely has mental illness, who should not be on the streets of America, where we should have the money to build facilities and institutions to house these people so that they're not getting bit by rats, that they're not, you know, getting diseases, that they're not a threat to other people or to themselves, that they're not starving on the streets of America. It's just wrong. It is just wrong. It needs to stop. It needs to be fixed immediately. Before we go helping the world, ladies and gentlemen, we need to help ourselves. We got big, big trouble. Somebody wrote me in the comments yesterday and just said, you know, because I said that this is, you know, this is what a third world country looks like. And the gentleman said, no, he was from a third world. I forgot what country it was, but he said, that doesn't happen here. What's happening in America is not even happening in third world countries. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. Pray for this country. We're in big, big trouble. And just like the weather is changing, things are about to change here in America very, very drastically. I hope you're prepared for it. I hope you continue to prepare for it. Stay safe. God bless. pray for this country.